I want to talk about money today. Not in the way you might expect. Not with charts or numbers or things you should invest in. I'm 81 years old. I've been thinking about money my whole life. And I've only recently understood that most of what I thought about it was wrong. If something in what I'm about to say stays with you, please like this video and share it with someone who might need to hear it. And if you want to stay for the rest of the story, subscribe. It means more to me than you know. Now, let me tell you what I've learned. My name is Donald Ray Mercer. I grew up in Harlan County, Kentucky, coal country. We didn't have much. I want to be honest about that from the beginning, because everything I believed about money came from that place, from watching my father count what was left at the end of the week, from the particular way my mother's face looked when something broke and needed replacing. When you grow up like that, money doesn't I was careful. Lord, I was careful. I kept a ledger, an actual handwritten ledger. Every dollar that came in, every dollar that went out. Gerald used to tease me about it. She'd say, "Donald, you know where every penny goes, except the ones that matter." I didn't know what she meant then. I think I do now. We didn't go on vacations, not real ones. We drove to see Carol's sister in Tennessee once or twice. We took the kids to a state park for a weekend when Thomas was about 10. I remember Thomas asking if we could stay another night, just one more night. It would have cost maybe $30. $30 for one more day of my son being happy in a way I didn't see very often. I said no. I said we needed to get back. I said it wasn't in the budget. I have thought about those $30 more times than I can count. Not because $30 mattered, because of the look on Thomas's face when I said no, and because I knew, even then, that we had the $30. I just couldn't make myself spend it. That's what growing up with nothing does to you. It makes you hold on, even when holding on costs you more than letting go would have. After Carol passed, I started going through the finances. The way you do when someone is gone and suddenly you're managing everything alone. And I sat there at the kitchen table with all the papers spread out in front of me, and I looked at what we had saved. Over 50 years of work, over 50 years of that ledger, over 50 years of saying no to things, and not yet to things, and maybe next year to things. It was more than I expected, considerably more. We had been careful in ways that were never necessary. There were years, decades, when we could have lived more generously, when we could have said yes more often, when the ocean was not an impossible thing. It was just a flight, just a hotel, just a few days. I sat at that kitchen table for a long time, with all those papers, and all that money we had saved, and all those years of no. And I thought about what we had been saving it for, and I could not find a satisfying answer. We had been saving it for a future that we treated as more important than the present. Every year, for 50 years, the future always got the money. The present always got the careful. And then Carol's future ended, and the money was still there, and she wasn't. I want to tell you about my father. I worked at the coal yard his whole life. I am not saying money doesn't matter. I want to be careful here, because money does matter. When you don't have it the way we didn't have it growing up, it matters enormously. But there is a point. There is a specific point in most people's lives where the fear of not having money becomes more expensive than the money itself. Where the habit of saving and protecting and holding back starts costing you things that cannot be replaced. Summers, evenings, ordinary Saturdays that could have been something. A flight to somewhere Carol wanted to see. $30 more at a state park so your son could have one more day. I passed that point somewhere in my 40s,
and I kept going, past it, for another 40 years, because the fear was louder than the math, and I never stopped to check whether the fear still made sense. There is something else I want to say. I spent a great deal of my life worrying.
I'm 81 now. I have more money than I need, more than I will spend, more than made sense to accumulate, given what it cost me to accumulate it. Diane will inherit some of it. Thomas will inherit some of it. Maybe their children will do something with it. I hope they do. I hope they take a trip. I hope they say yes to something that costs a little more than they're comfortable with. I hope they spend